everybody. So we're so excited today to be here to preview the year in animated films coming up 2019. Some of these films we know a lot about, some of them we know very little about, but we're going to have a lot of fun talking about them. And I'm Rachel, and I am here with two of my very good friends that know their animated films. We have my friend Hayden is here.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
You betcha.
And we have a very special guest from all the way across the pond. We have my friend Mike, Cartoon Karma, is here.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Not at all.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting year. I feel like in 2018, I feel like we kind of got a little bit of a breather. Like there weren't as many movies, and they were all pretty good for the most part. I mean, there wasn't really any hardly except for Duck Duck Goose that made me want to die. But almost all the movies were watchable, I would say.
Sure. Didn't Duck Duck Goose get relegated to a Netflix release in the States?
Yes, which thanks for that.
It was still released theatrically here, like in Ireland and the UK in April, but I was like, feck it, I'm not seeing that.
Good plan. Yeah. That was smart.
But no, there were only really 10 films that were wide release. I suppose 12 if you count that and Sergeant Stubby, but even so, it was a lower amount. Yeah. And personally, there were only 2 that I was like, well, I feel like I wasted my time seeing that. The other 8, I said, no, I don't regret seeing that, which is always good.
Yeah. Would you agree, Hayden? It was a pretty good year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nice and solid year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what we think about 2019. We debated about including the new remake of Lion King. It's in this sort of gray area. It's called live action, but it's all animated. But we kind of decided to just have it be sort of an honorable mention that we can talk a little bit about, I guess. But are you guys dreading it or open to it? What do you think? What do you think, Mike?
Well, I mean, unlike, say, Dumbo or Aladdin, I don't think it's going to basically, as some people say, ruin our childhoods by defecating all over the memories of the original film. Uh-huh. Like, this is basically going to be like the live-action Beauty and the Beast. The original is so beloved that they're just going to copy it and add stuff to it. And I mean, that probably won't make for a good film at all, but for the most part, people will be like, yeah, it exists. I'll go back to the original. So there's that. I mean, I don't really have any interest in seeing it, so I'll just let it pass by, really.
Yeah, I can understand that. What do you think, Hayden?
Literally all of my interest in the movie comes from the fact that my future husband, Billy Eichner, is in it. And that's basically the extent of it. It looks fine, but I'm just really seeing it for him and Seth Rogen, in all honesty.
Yeah, how they can do
and Donald Glover.
Matata. Yeah, I can understand that. I we'll see. I'm kind of dreading the lead up to it more than the movie itself. And all there's already been articles like, oh, it's improving upon the original, or the original wasn't as great as you remember, or that kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh, that's the worst part to me. But the actual movie itself, whatever. It'll be fun. So yeah. Anyway, I would give it like 2 in excitement.
Yeah, 2 sounds about right. It probably won't be dreadful. Like, if I somehow ended up in the theater, I wouldn't be like, clawing my eyes out leading up to it starting, but I still wouldn't really want to be there,
Yeah. What would you give for
I'm
Billy?
going to be generous and give it a 3, just
Okay.
because of the aforementioned future husband.
Right, you gotta give him a good score.
That's a fair reason.
Okay, good. All right, so now we're just gonna dive in. So the first release that we're gonna talk about, this is on the 2nd of February, is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and this is from DreamWorks. This is our 3rd in the series. It's when Hiccup discovers Toothless isn't the only Night Fury, he must seek the hidden world, a secret dragon utopia, before a hired tyrant named Rimmel finds it first. And this is already, has this already come out by you, Mike?
No, it came out in Australia,
Australia.
you were probably going to mention early January. I think we get it on February 1st. You were a little inaccurate with the date for the US. Its official US release is 22nd. I think it's just there's lots of public early screenings when you mentioned, but no, its wide release is until the 22nd. But we get it on February 1st.
Okay. Yeah, it must be.
So basically the same time as you will probably see it.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it has gotten really good response in Australia where it's already been released, and the whole series.
Lucky buggers.
I know, for real. At least
Hey, I have to stop. I have to stop you there. I have to stop you there for a moment, Hayden. How do you think we feel in the UK and Ireland every time we have to wait months on a release? For instance, Coco, we had to wait about 2 months, and it always used to be the case that the Disney Pixar November release was a February release here. So you have no right to complain, okay?
Two wrongs do not make
The
a right.
Yanks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They don't, but just know we've been enduring this for quite some time.
But you do sometimes get the Marvel movies ahead of us.
Yeah, by a week maybe.
Yeah.
That's nothing to complain about.
But yeah, so how high are you two on the series as a whole? What do you think, Mike, about How to Train Your Dragon?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I really honestly do. Like, I can still remember when I saw the first one, I was like 15. Yeah, we'll go with that. And it was just such a breathtaking and enthralling experience. I'd never been high on DreamWorks. Like, Shrek never really grabbed me. I was more Ice Age, which I'll admit isn't good now, but that's beside the point. And then the sequel coming out, I've not been given time. I've not been as warm on the sequel as the original, not for lack of trying. It's got plenty of ambition. It's just a little unfocused in points, but it's still a very, very strong fantasy film. So you have what are two of DreamWorks' best films here, absolutely without question. And if you don't include their Aardman films like Chicken Run and Curse of the Were-Rabbit, the original How to Train Your Dragon is probably DreamWorks' best. So, and just the great buzz this one is getting and the fact that it will end the trilogy. My only concern is that number 2, in its ambitions to be, a really grand epic adventure, lost a little bit of the charm and heart the first had. So as long as this one can reprimand that, keep that back in check, make sure that's important, then I don't have many qualms. This is an easy 5 for me. On the excitement scale, that is.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, my favorite DreamWorks is Prince of Egypt, but as far as the CG, I completely agree with you. It's definitely my favorite, the first How to Train Your Dragon. The second one I have a few qualms with, as far as I feel like they let the mother off the hook way too easily, and that kind of bothered me for leaving her family. And I thought that it got a little convoluted with the alphas and the some other stuff, but it's still really enjoyable, and the flying scenes are just the best. Amazing.
They're so enthralling.
Yeah, incredible. And so I'm pretty excited about this movie, especially when I hear this great buzz. And I think it's a pretty strong trilogy. If you look at the history of trilogies, I mean, it's got to be in discussion. So,
and when you consider how few great third movies there are, I mean, you have Toy Story 3 and Return of the King. But then again, I suppose most Lord of the Rings is really one film, so that doesn't really count. And I guess there are some others, but none that are obviously springing to mind. Kung Fu Panda 3, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy is very solid across the board.
Yeah,
They keep
underrated,
quality.
I think.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
so
very cool.
so if all goes to plan, we may have another strong trilogy where every film is great.
Yeah. Hey, Hayden, what do you think about How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah, I really dig the dragon movies. It's a good example of that you can change the source material and still have something very strong.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
They're very different.
Like you have essentially summed up all of my thoughts to the point where it would be redundant to say them again.
Sorry.
But yeah,
No,
the hype got me really. The reviews that this one has gotten have me really excited.
Me too.
So despite the fact that they have a subtitle instead of a number, which bothers my OCD tendencies, I'm going to give it a 5 in terms of anticipation.
Yeah, me as well.
I'm still calling it How to Train Your Dragon 3, no matter what it says.
Okay,
I can't.
How would you feel if they
call it anything else?
How would you feel if they had both 3, but also the subtitle, like, How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World?
That would be better. I agree with you there.
I'd be better with it. It would still kind of bother me, but it would be an improvement.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand the debate. I mean, by leaving out a number there, when you have a number in a film's title, it's saying this is a sequel to what came before, so it may not be as inviting to the audiences. So sometimes when they leave the number out, they're trying to bring on new people, and that's fair.
Yeah, I know why they're doing it. It just bothers me.
Yeah, I know.
It just bothers me on a personal level. It's
a very trendy thing that they're doing these days. That you can't just have it be a sequel. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I also agree with you guys. I'd also give it a 5. I'm very excited about it, and it's gonna be a good way to help start off the year of animation. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Lego Movie 2, the second part. It's obviously from Warner Animations, and it's been 5 years since everything was awesome, and the citizens are facing a huge new threat. Lego Duplo invaders from outer space are wrecking everything faster than they can rebuild. So this is coming out on the 8th, and for me, I loved the original Lego Movie. I thought it was brilliant, and I thought the animation was so great, and I thought that it had heart, and it was so funny, and I loved the live action segment. That was brilliant, and so it was great. Lego Batman, I enjoyed. I thought it was very funny, and it wasn't as artistically interesting, but it was funny, and I enjoyed it. And then Lego Ninjago was very boring and very disappointing for me, and I don't know why they didn't use the voice cast from the show. I had a couple funny things, but for the most part, I didn't like it. And so for this one, I am hoping that they can skip past Ninjago. We can get back on track. And the trailers have looked pretty funny. I like the idea of sort of Emmett in this sort of kind of apocalyptic type world, sort of this grim and gritty world, because he's such an innocent character. And so I think it'll be it'll be good. I like the idea of sort of going to space. There's a lot of parody potential in that, I think. And so I'm hopeful that it'll be good. What do you think, Mike?
Well, firstly, you're lucky, and this one has a number in the title.
Yes, that's true. It's the second part, too.
I mean, a lot of my thoughts would be repeating what you said. The original Lego Movie was brilliant in every way, a near masterpiece for me. Lego Batman was definitely solid and very enjoyable, but it lacked a lot of what made the original Lego Movie brilliant. And then Lego Ninjago, it ran into the problem that the other 2 movies managed to avoid. It pretty obviously just wants to be a toy commercial. Yeah, and while the whole thing about whether it is or isn't like the Cartoon Network show doesn't really bother me, but I know it does some people. But it's very clear that it's unrelated. It's just been its own brand thing. That I can see how that would bother some people, because it's not like, say, the Teen Titans Go movie or the My Little Pony movie where it's made by the same staff. It's made by completely different people, so it's unrelated. But there's that. As for this film, due to the declining quality of the Lego movie brand, as it were, I was skeptical. In fact, I saw the first trailer, but when the second trailer came out, I didn't watch it at first. Sometimes I do that if a film doesn't interest me that much. I only saw it recently, and it's certainly, I don't doubt it will probably be fun and funny. I think they can get it to Lego Batman quality. I don't honestly think they can get it up to the quality of the first film, if I'm being frank, but I'm willing to be surprised. So in terms of excitement, I'm somewhere between a 3 and a 4. I'll see it. I have my reservations, but I'll see it.
Interesting. What do you think, Hayden, about Lego Movie 2?
Yeah, okay, so the first one, it not only got snubbed for Best Animated Feature, it got snubbed for Best Picture, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And I'm still annoyed about that. I also enjoyed Lego Batman. I did not see the Lego Ninjago, so I have no thoughts on that. But I am pretty excited for this one. I'm hoping for at least if it is 1/10 as good as the first one, then I think we're going to be more than okay.
So the first one's one of your favorite movies ever? That's what it sounds like.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. And like just the whole idea of capturing the way a child plays, I think was so brilliant. Because when you give kids a box of Legos, for instance, they will have a pirate playing with a spaceman, in their play, and they will make it work, and they'll tell these stories to themselves. So I remember one time walking in on my little brother playing, and he had all his toys all together, and he was just so I had to be like, Sam, like he was so in his world. And I think that was what was just so lovely about the movie, is that it just captured the way a child really plays, and particularly, and then that live action segment of him sort of explaining his world to his dad was just the best. So I am I'm hopeful that they'll be able to at least capture that. So yeah, I'm actually gonna give it a 4. I'm pretty
fair.
excited. So Hayden, what would you give it as far as the anticipation?
I'm going to maybe give it around the 4.5.
Yeah. All right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
I just.
Okay, good. Okay, so next we have Wonder Park, and this opens on the 15th of March, and it's from Paramount, and it's a young, imaginative girl named June, spent her childhood days constructing an amusement park filled with fantastical rides and inhabited by talking animals called Wonderland with her mother and her friends. After growing up, she lost her sense of imagination and wonder until she finds the real Wonderland in the woods. She needs to team up with animals to stop the destruction of Wonderland by chimpanzee zombies and bring it back to life. And when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, I don't know, doesn't look good. I mean, I feel like I'm more tolerant of sort of that middle ground CGI that a lot of people have a hard time with. I don't know. I can enjoy it a little more than I think some people. But then once I found out that in the second trailer, once I found out that it was based on her ideas, so it's not just some random park that she stumbles upon, that made it more interesting to me, I think. not like super excited, but I hope it'll be a pleasant surprise. I know. What do you think, Hayden?
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed with having seen the trailer quite a few times.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a disaster. Like, the colors are bright and it looks fine. It looks like an okay movie to distract little Timmy for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really feel one way or the other, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Mike, about Wonder Park?
Well, the thing you should know is that it's another movie from Paramount Animation. They've been trying to build a brand for themselves, much like with Warner Animation Group. They don't have a dedicated studio. They just have lots of sub-studios they have make films for them. But unlike Warner's, they haven't been able to really do anything. So far, all they have is the second SpongeBob movie, Monster Trucks, which they wrote off before it was even released, and Sherlock Gnomes, which was being made by someone else, and then they just picked it up. It's a sequel to a film they didn't even make, so they have no brand identity. Anyway, this film they've had in the works for quite some time, so it was just one of those stories I kept hearing about. Oh yeah, that film. And now it's finally getting released. I think for the longest time, I had just been indifferent to it. I suppose some of what you're saying is true. Like, the trailer does have a mildly intriguing premise in what it's proposing regarding the girl and her imagination and all that. So it's at least trying to not be super cliched. That's true. But honestly, I'm not especially interested in it. Like, I'll see what others are saying about it, but this is like a 2 for me, if I'm being frank.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. It's probably a 3 for me. I'm being generous, but we'll see. Yeah, Paramount, they almost had The Little Prince, and then all of a sudden they dropped it the week before it was going to be released, which was weird.
Oh yeah,
but,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I will give it a 3. All right, so
yeah, I'm a 2.
Okay, good. Okay, so then we have Missing Link from Leica. This follows Myths and Monsters investigator Sir Lionel Frost, who sets off on an adventure to the Pacific Northwest to prove the existence of a legendary creature, Mr. Link. Frost, who's also looking to gain acceptance by his small-minded explorer peers, is accompanied on this journey by Adelina Fortnight, a free-spirited, independent adventurer who just so happens to possess the only known map to their secret destination of trying to find Link. So, Mike, what do you think about the Missing Link or Missing Link?
I'm going to be honest. I thought this film hadn't had a trailer released. I'm just after finding out it did, but I haven't seen it. So all I have to really go on are the synopsis and teaser art. I mean, Leica have certainly delivered some pretty excellent films. I won't deny that. So I will see it, but it's a little early for me to say, but I'm sure they'll do some very interesting, quirky stuff with it, as we'd like them to. I'm a little concerned because they switched from their distributor to being a very more indie distributor, so I'm very concerned that the film won't do very well at the box office. It might not even make its budget back. Well, if I'm being frank, none of them have been profits for them, but because the main CEO's father or brother, I forget, made Nike, he basically has a fortune to keep spending on them. Very fortunate for them.
Yeah, we can all be grateful for shoes because that keeps giving us more Leica films. This definitely looks like a different style than some of the other. Like it looks more like an Aardman film as far as the sort of the tone, and as opposed to some
for sure
darkness. A little darker is typically what Leica has done in the past. I don't know. What do you think, Hayden, about it?
Yeah, it definitely does look more different than a lot of their past fare. But given their record, I'm definitely interested. Really did not care for the narration in the trailer. Personally, it felt weirdly patronizing and iffy, but I'm really hopeful for the movie, and I'm going to say 4.
Okay. Yeah. So my problem with this movie is I just don't love the character designs. I don't like that weird pig-like nose that he has, and I didn't like it in Early Man, and I don't like it here. I don't know what it is with pig noses that's the thing lately, but I don't like it. And so that's my biggest kind of problem with the movie so far is I'm like, why did they design him that way? He looks weird. I don't know. So, but other than that, it looks fun. I hopefully I'll be able to get over that. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. What anticipation will you give it, Mike?
I'll go with 3.5 again. I know I'm cheating with these kind of halves, but like three is so middle of the road that if you give a film a 3, it doesn't really say anything to me, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might add that you were saying it felt like an Aardman film, but you reminded me that one of the directors of Paranorman, Sam Fell, he had worked at Aardman. He co-directed Flushed Away. Then he was at Leica, and so were a fair few other people, like the other director, Chris Butler. And even though he's not making Missing Link, he's moved back to Aardman now. He's directing Chicken Run 2, but there has been overlap between the two studios. I mean, as there will be when you have some of the greatest stop motion studios in the world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's probably practical internal reasons to explain why there's a bit of adapting the Aardman look. Maybe they decided some of their techniques were too expensive and they're trying to be more cost conscious with this. I guess we'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. All right. So next we have Ugly Dolls. This is from STX Entertainment, and it's Moxie and her ugly doll friends travel to the other side of the mountain where Uglyville nestles and finds the town of perfection, a place where everyone is perfect. There they encounter Lou, who gathers recruits to train for perfection and ultimately find a child in the real world. Eventually, the Ugly Dolls learn that being oneself is more important than perfection. And it's also a musical. This is it's directed by Kelly Asbury, who I think didn't get enough credit for. I liked Smurfs the Lost Village. I thought he did a good job. And he's also co-director of Shrek 2, which is a pretty good movie. And so I don't know. I've never heard of Ugly Dolls until I didn't know that was a thing. And the music I hope will be good. We'll see. I think this movie will probably be a big bomb. I don't think it'll do very well at the box office, but who knows? But I don't know. I'd give it like I mean, I love musicals, so I'm going to be an optimistic 3. But what do you think, Hayden, about this one?
So, fun story. I actually kind of submitted myself to do some scratch work for this movie because I'm friends with someone whose mom works at STX.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a random anecdote that has nothing to do with anything. Anyway, but yeah, it looks cute enough, I guess. I definitely, you don't remember Ugly Dolls, but I certainly remember them when I was a wee child in the aughts. A lot of kids had them and were obsessed with them for a while. Those were the days. But yeah, I mean the designs look just like the real life dolls, so that's kind of cool. In my opinion, I'm not really personally invested in this Ugly Dolls universe, but I'm going to give it a 2 overall.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I'm surprised no one else has brought up the fact that this basically feels like Trolls 2.0. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have cute plushy characters based in a toy line in a jukebox musical. How is this not just Trolls 2.0?
Is it a jukebox musical or is it original songs?
No, they'd said the press releases say jukebox musical. I'm sure there will be some original songs, but it's more than just, whether you have original songs or not original songs. It's a very specific type of style,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah.
Like I won't accepting that it's made on a far lower budget. I do find the art style charming in a kind of off-kilter way. It's nowhere near as gorgeous as Trolls, where the textures and the craft and everything, it's so lovely and creative and with amazing direction that compensates for an okay screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, this is a film that, I'll be honest, if it even gets released over here, because, this seems like it's getting a very small release, not a wide release. Even if it gets released over here, like in cinemas, I don't see myself seeing it in the cinema. I might catch it on home media at a later date because I'm curious, but at least it has an interesting visual style, even if, again, its visual style is just Trolls on a budget, but I love that visual style so much, so I'll take it.
Very good. All right, so you give it, what score would you give it?
I'd say I'll give it a 3, but as I say, that's more on the grounds of the visual style than anything else, and I am adding what probably won't see it in cinema just at a later date when I'm curious.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay. So then we have The Secret Life of Pets 2. This is from Illumination. The film continues the story of Max and his pet friends following their secret lives after their owners leave them for work or school each day. So this comes out on June 7th. And I feel like everybody has forgotten about The Secret Life of Pets. Like, I don't know, it's just one of those movies that made a lot of money, but nobody remembers very well.
Isn't that the case with any Illumination film, at least of our demographic? They're huge hitters, but it seems like the only people who watch them or care about them are parents and kids, and not us adults who love animation otherwise. We're just eh.
Yeah, I have a special, fondness for the first one because it was the first time I was ever on Rotoscopers podcast. So it was one of my sort of first real sort of podcasting. I don't know. It's when it was a big fun experience for me. But it was just very, very forgettable movie. But
it's going to make $50 billion because Illumination has sold their soul to the devil to make all their movies.
Yeah, they know how to make money. They should give lessons because they.
Well, I think it's more accurate to say it's not that they know how to make money, but that Universal know how to market their films.
Yeah, it can't be denied. They're amazing at that for sure.
They could have a movie about a piece of tissue paper blowing in the wind for 90 minutes and it would make money.
Yeah, it's true. It's amazing. I'm just kind of on this. I'll give it 1.5. I'm slightly curious to see how they handle the whole switching out Louis C.K., I guess. I don't know. There's really not a whole lot. 1.5 for me as far as anticipation. What about you, Hayden?
Yeah. Secret Life of Pets, that was a movie that happened. I have no real opinions on this one.
What would you give it?
Even less so. So I would give it I'll be generous and give it a 2.
Mike, what about you?
A 2 is probably fine. I think the original, it's a little bit of a shame because we all remember how there were those commercials about what the pets do when you're not at home, and pretty much all of that was in the trailer. What was the actual movie? It was just another Toy Story-esque two people who hate each other but become friends over a buddy movie. Except the two protagonists, I'll be honest, they're terrible people. They do terrible things to each other. Yeah, they're terrible characters. They do terrible things to each other all films, and then suddenly they're just buddies, like it happened off screen. Some of the others are amusing, but the two leads are kind of terrible characters, not just to watch, but also to, hopefully endear ourselves to. But I will say that regardless of why Louis C.K. was given the sack, I won't go into that. We all know why. But I really like Patton Oswalt. Like, I haven't seen too much of his work, but every time he's in an animated animation, I love what he does. Like, he's so perfect as Remy and Ratatouille, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And he was even in this episode of My Little Pony, and he was brilliant as this kind of character who's really into a certain book series, but only up to a certain point. And after that, he's like, no, the rest is terrible. But he brings such flair to it, and in some other stuff. And even in the trailer, I was a little more amused by Max just as a result of him doing the voice, which is weird. I normally never give a pass to something just based on who's doing it, but he makes it a little more tolerable, sorry. Mm-hmm. So I'll give it a 2.
That's a good point. Yeah, and there were a few moments where I felt like they tried to do interesting stuff. Like, I actually liked the whole weird random sausage fantasy sequence. Like, I like some surrealist little weird moments where I feel in animated films where I feel like the animators are allowed to just kind of be bonkers and weird. So I kind of
sure you need all that.
Yeah. So hopefully they do more of that in this one. We'll see. Anyway, all right. So we have Toy Story 4. This is from Pixar, of course. This on the 21st of June. And Woody has always been confident about his place in the world, and that his priority is taking care of his kid, whether that is Bonnie or Andy. But when Bonnie adds a reluctant new toy called Forky to her bedroom, a road trip adventure alongside old and new friends will show Woody how big the world can be. Here's the thing. Woody has not always been confident about his place in the world. That's the whole point of the first movie. What is this description? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, obviously that's a bit false, but I think I'll get into it a bit later. But at this point in time, the kids, I know it's marketed to adults, but we're going to see the film anyway. To the kids, they won't know the first Toy Story 1 or 2 as well. Like, I'm sure they've seen it, but Toy Story 3 is their primary point of reference. So on that grounds, it'll ring a little more true.
Yeah, I guess I guess I can see that, but
I'm not saying they're marketing it just towards the kids, but I'm saying that we, regardless of how we adults feel, we're going to see it, so they don't need to worry about us too much.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny to me because the whole point of the first movie is that Woody is not confident about his place in the world. I don't know, it was funny to me, but yeah, I'm not feeling this. Like, I mean, I was actually kind of defending it for a long time because I was just like, they promised if they didn't have a story, they weren't going to make it. But it's gone through so many like complete rewrites and stuff. I'm like, do you have a story? That's really weird. And then Forky, I just don't know about Forky. It's I don't know, but you do have all these quotes from Tom Hanks and Tim Allen saying it was just the most devastating filming.
They all die.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is going on? But I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 3. I know that might be very low, but I'm nervous about it, to be honest. Hayden, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually with you on giving it a 3. I was pretty disappointed that they went and made another one despite 3 closing it off so perfectly, but Disney gonna Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks fine. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and hope for something at least enjoyable. The trailer just makes me think of Hereditary because that's the end credit. They played the song that they played in the end credits of Hereditary, so that's like funny. All I'm going to be thinking of the whole movie. And I kind of, admittedly, I think the implications of Forky are kind of amazing in that like some random kid just made some poor unfortunate object into some animated toy, and what does that mean for everything else?
Yeah, when does something become
You know?
sentient, and when is it just furniture or, whatever? Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. Not unlike Hayden saying that he was very loosely associated with ugly dolls. I have the barest of connections with this film. The place I work at now, we make mobile apps for children, and we've been doing this Disney Coloring World app, which is out and it's getting monthly updates. It's pretty great, but due to a future update, they'll have a Toy Story playset. Nothing much to do with the fourth film. It'll mostly be stuff from the previous three, but due to I've seen bits and pieces from the fourth film. Nothing spoilery, like in terms of things, but apart from anything else, I've seen the character models, and I have to say that when you're looking at them in detail, they look absolutely amazing. They honestly do feel like they're the toys. Like, Pixar's technology keeps getting better, and I didn't think the toys could look any better than they did in number 3, but they do in this. Just a mixture of the texture and rendering and everything. Bo Peep especially looks like she's actually made of porcelain, I kid you not. So, but I've seen other bits and pieces, and I do. Yeah. It's easy to be skeptical of Pixar sequels. It really is, because the thing is, people used to think that Pixar didn't want to make sequels, and after Disney bought them, that Disney's forcing them to. It's easy to think why, because they only made Toy Story 2 and then there was nothing, and since they bought them, they've done like half sequels, Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is, when they made Toy Story 2, they wanted to make number 3, but Toy Story 2 wasn't counted in the deal because their contract specified new characters, and so Steve Jobs basically told them, I can't let you make sequels. We've got to finish this contract up. You're going to have to keep to original films. So as soon as Disney bought them, they jumped back on Toy Story 3. They wanted to tell it all along. So the point of this story, of this little anecdote, is just that Pixar haven't always been opposed to sequels. It's just that circumstances made them stay away from them, Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important thing to clear up. It's a little complicated, but it's important. I won't deny that, the Cars sequels have been, I mean, 3 is grand, 2 is, let's not talk about 2. Then you have Monsters University and so on and so forth. And Incredibles 2, it's definitely a great film. It's so much fun. The action sequences are so great. The plot and character stuff gets a little messy, so the original is better, but it is definitely one of their best non-Toy Story sequel. Just to round it back up. Mm-hmm. So,
I like Finding Dory. A lot of people, I liked it.
It gets a hard time at times, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's grand. And I think Toy Story 4, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be good, certainly. I think it will be the weakest of the trilogy, but, I definitely will go see it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be giving them a little more of the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them a 3.5 on this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see that. All right. So next we have this on this. I don't know when it's going to be released in the States. I think this might be a Japan release date, but anyway, 19th of July, we have Weathering with You. This is from Makoto Shinkai, the director of Your Name, which you all know is one of my favorite movies ever. I absolutely
really I've never seen you mention it.
yeah, that's right. And it's high school student Hidaka Morishima leaves his home on an isolated island and moves to Tokyo, but he immediately becomes broke. He lives his days in isolation, but finally finds a job as a writer for a shady occult magazine. After he starts his job, the weather has been raining day after day. In a corner of the crowded and busy city, Hidaka meets a young girl named Hina Amana. Due to certain circumstances, Hina and her younger brother live together, but have a cheerful and sturdy life. Hina also has a certain power, the power to stop the rain and clear the sky. So I'm excited about this pretty much. I mean, it does sound interesting. Sounds like an interesting plot. But I love Makoto Shinkai. Not just Your Name, I love his other movies. I think he's just amazing. I love his animation and I love his storytelling. And so I'm super excited for this. So I gave it's my most anticipated of the whole year of all movies. Because I loved Your Name so much and I love his other films. And so I'm going to 5 for me. I really hope it'll be great. But what do you think, Mike?
Well, is this the right time to mention that unless you get one of your really early screening passes, you probably won't see this film till next year?
Yeah.
That's just my guessing on the matter, but given Your Name's release date pattern, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, my guess is it'll probably get a end of the year release in the States, like Your Name did. But yeah, that's probably true.
I thought that didn't get released to the States till April of the 2017.
The main release, but it got like an Oscar.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't. I don't need to repeat that Your Name is brilliant. I don't know if I would put it in as high as you would. Like, there are some plot elements they work, but I'm not sure that was the right call. But it still is a fantastic film. I cannot deny that. And I've seen some of his past work. I keep meaning to watch the rest. So I definitely will get around to seeing this at some point. I mean, a lot of anime just doesn't interest me. I'm going to be frank, yeah. But certainly the plot description, I'm kind of like, I'm not quite sure what to make of this, but that's common of a lot of anime, especially when the film hasn't been released in Japan and the Western description is just a translation of it. It's very culturally different just due to the phrasing of the words and what plot details they tend to leak. Like, you can't really puzzle out what it's really about the way you can with a US one. So I can't really comment on the film because we don't really know anything beyond a very jumbly plot description. But on the benefit of the director directing it, I'll definitely give it a watch when it comes around. So I'll give it a 4.
Very good. Okay, Hayden, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know too much about this. It's more of a blind spot for me compared to the others here. But I love Your Name. Also, I'm going to give it actually 4.5 overall.
Very good. All right, very good. Okay, then we have Playmobil the Movie. This is on the 7th of August, Open Road Films. Marla is forced to abandon her carefully structured life to embark on an epic journey to find her younger brother Charlie, who has disappeared into the vast and wondrous animated world of Playmobil. And I don't know. I mean, I think it looks like it could be passably entertaining. I don't know. I'm not super attached to Playmobil, I guess, but there's tools there. They could make something fun. We've only gotten a teaser so far, but I wasn't mad about it. I didn't hate it, so I don't know. And the teaser and the animation that I've seen, it looks like it could be fun, maybe. So I'll give it a 2 as far as anticipation. What about you, Mike?
Well, this is another one that I have intentionally not watched the trailer of, just because I look at it and I'm kind of like, really? Playmobil was one of those toys that I was always aware of as a kid, but never really personally played with. And so both then and now, it always strikes me as kind of a weird cross between various train franchise things for kids as well as Lego characters. Especially, it has a very Duplo feel at times. So, and this movie especially, just from the screenshots and plot, it just makes it seem like a weird Lego movie type thing, but without any of the charm. And apparently it has a $75 million budget, and I guess I see that a bit, but I'm just surprised they were able to justify that, because I do not see this movie making its budget back, not even close. So
yeah,
I don't really see myself seeing it either. I'm going to be frank. I'm going to give this a 1.5.
The thing about Lego that people forget is that, first of all, they had made direct to DVD Lego movies. They'd gotten a lot of practice, before the actual release of making actual films. So there's that, but also they had all of these IPs associated with Lego. So they had so much to work with to make a good movie, as opposed to something like Playmobil, where it's literal, they don't have IPs with Playmobil, and so it's all about the script. And so we'll see. That's, I think, the main difference between Playmobil and Lego. But Hayden, what do you think?
Yeah, so the movie does actually have some people behind it that I really respect, such as Lino DeSalvo, who worked at Disney for several years,
Oh.
Which gives me some hope for it. Also, I love Anya Taylor-Joy in anything, so her being a voice actor in it does admittedly make me pretty intrigued in a sense, but overall, don't really have too many thoughts, so I'm going to give it maybe about 2.5.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right, so we have on the 13th of August, we have Spies in Disguise. This is from Blue Sky, and when an unexpected event puts the world in peril, Lance Sterling, the world's greatest super spy, must team up with his gadget inventor Walter in order to save the day while disguised as a pigeon. So I was actually, in the trailer, I really was feeling the spy stuff, and then when it turned into a pigeon, I was like, oh, I didn't like that as much as like the spy stuff. Kind of wish they just stayed human, but whatever. I like Blue Sky, so we'll see. Hayden, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I do the title back when it was called Pigeon Impossible. So I, in all honesty, I thought it was going to be like a James Bond spoof where he was like a pigeon the whole time that was the spy or something, but I guess that wasn't it. But it looks fine. I also do agree about the spy element being the most interesting part, but it has potential to be cute and fun. So I'll give it 3.
Mm-hmm. Mike, what do you
Overall.
think?
Well, I'm going to have to issue a correction. You got the release date wrong. It's the 13th of September, not August. Don't know where you got that from.
Oh, oops. Sorry about that. So what do you think about this?
I mean, it's. I think at this point I'd just be repeating a lot of what the two of you have said. Like, sometimes Blue Sky do mildly interesting stuff. I mean, a lot of the time they seem like Illumination, but without, the ability to make huge hits, at least at the US box office. As I said earlier, I do have a soft spot for the Ice Age films. I'll admit now that outside the first one, they're not really good, for say, but there is that. And sometimes I like stuff like Ferdinand's decent and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I actually think that Blue Sky has taken more risk than they're given credit for. Personally, I think that something like Epic is flawed, but it's so beautiful, and they really tried to make something beautiful. I think that Robots is really underrated, in my opinion. I think it's really cool.
like Robots.
Yeah, and I do.
For
the haters.
Yeah.
No, to me, Robots is one of the best examples of not just a very lovely looking film, but also a film with a great world and one that I want to know more about. And it contrasts all that with such a standard be yourself type plot that I just can't believe that they have such a great world in animation and have I'll be frank, a miserable script to go along with it. But they usually don't go that hand in hand, but
yeah,
I guess that's happened. Robots is one of those films that sometimes you get a term put on when you have a party on, so it's on the background, it's muted, but you can look at it while you're doing your thing. That Robots is that kind of film for me.
Interesting. I think the script doesn't blow me away, but I thought it was serviceable as far as the script. But yeah, the world building and and I don't know, I just think I really like it. And the Peanuts movie I adored.
Peanuts movie's great.
I like Rio. I think Rio's pretty good, and it's beautiful. And I feel like they are a lot better than Illumination, personally. I feel like they try to make things they have a little more ambition, a little more artistry than Illumination. That's all I'll say. I really, that's what I think. But anyway.
Hot take.
That's fair. I think there are probably more films they've made that I legitimately enjoy than with Illumination.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll concur with you on that. But as for Spies in Disguise, I guess a 3.
Yeah.
I'll see what I'm feeling closer to release date. It's well over half a year away, to be fair.
Yeah. So I will also give it a 3. Okay, so this one we don't have much to say because Angry Birds 2, we have no plot detail, we have no trailer. The 16th of August is what I had written down. From Rovio, the first movie I think wasn't terrible. It tried way too hard to be grown up, which I think it should have just been more for kids. But then it would have been a lot better. Like the attempts at adult humor really fell flat for me in it, and particularly with that eagle, that was a big miss. But it was watchable. I didn't want to kill myself watching it. So the second one, well, I'm not. I don't know. I give it a 1.5.
We don't really know anything about the film,
Right.
like you said. Oh, also, date again. It's the same thing with Spies. It's September, not August.
What? Oh, okay. That's weird.
I mean, apart from anything else, when anime films get released in August, it's towards the start when they can still capitalize on the summer a bit. So, I mean, according to this, what I'm looking at here, it's September 6th.
That's weird. On Wikipedia, it says August 16th.
Hmm.
Scheduled for release on August 16th.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: we don't know plot details yet, so maybe it could still change a bit. We'll play that by ear. Anyway, so we don't know anything, so it's all down to the opinion of the first film. And one of the directors of the first film was actually an Irish animator. I mean, he'd worked in America for most of his adult life, but he'd started in Ireland, so, you know, there is that. I can remember when the film was in production, reading newspaper articles that were saying, you know, an Irish person directing a film, this is a big deal. But by the time the Angry Birds movie came out, Angry Birds is a video game. It had been like 3 years since it was, you know, had any cultural cachet. And it kind of showed, like...
yeah, that's
in
true.
particular, if you look at its box office, it made almost as much in China as it did in the States. And I know that in China, it was able to hold on to that popularity a fair bit more. So I could definitely see this film dipping even more, because as much as Angry Birds had lost a lot of popularity 3 years ago, I get the feeling it's almost dead now. I mean, they probably still make games. I don't know. I haven't checked in ages. And I say this as someone who used to play Angry Birds a lot in like 2011. Yeah. So as for the original film itself, it's not terrible, I guess, but it subscribes to so many bad kids movies cliches that it's just a profoundly mediocre film for me. Not awful, but nothing to recommend about it except, I guess, some pretty lovely feathering textures, which I won't say no to. But
yeah, the animation was decent, I thought.
Yeah. But I suppose the thing of that is if you see the trailer a few times when you're watching other films, you can still get that in a theater without having to actually see the film. So, yeah.
And it is probably my favorite video game movie. Just something about video games movies.
I'm assuming Wreck-It Ralph. The Wreck-It Ralphs don't count.
That doesn't count. As far as like adaptations of video games, like the movies have been rough. What do you think about Angry Birds 2?
Well, I actually quite enjoyed the first Angry Birds, despite all of its issues. May or may not have joined a cult related to it. It
has a cult?
Back. There was like a jokey internet cult thing that I did that was fun.
It sounds a bit like the Shrek meme cult.
It was a joke, but we called ourselves the Angry Birds cult and we worshipped the mighty eagle. Good times. But the reason I'm actually kind of interested in this is I really love the cast that they got. The second that they said Rachel Bloom, I was in. And also they have Leslie Jones, Sterling K. Brown, Awkwafina, Beck Bennett, Brooklyn Prince, and Lil Rel Howery. I love all of them. So they're the reason I'm most into it. So I'm going to for that, I'm going to say about 2.5.
Rachel Bloom. Where have I heard that name before?
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh no, wait, no.
She created Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh no, that's not it. I remember. I'm showing my Brony site here. She was in a recent episode of My Little Pony as a guest star. That was it. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, she was on that. Yeah,
Good.
I love her.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. So what rating would you give it, Hayden?
I said a 2.5.
Oh, okay, sorry. Great. Okay, that'll be great. All right. So next we have the Queen's Corgis. This is from N-Wave. And Rex, one of the British monarch's most beloved corgis, gets lost from the palace and runs into a dogfight club with all sorts confronting each other. He then goes on a long journey to find the Queen again. And actually, I don't know if we know a release date. I think it had just said summer, so I think 2018. So that's why I just put August. But anyway, so yeah, I mean this looks pretty terrible. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike, of this? Being from the UK,
it's the first. Despite that, this is the first I'm hearing about the film, so I can't really say anything. But from what you're telling me and what I'm looking at now, it just seems like another one of those CG productions made by not the big studios but smaller ones, and I don't know what will happen to it, but that somehow manages to grab some pretty notable people in the cast to hopefully attract people. But I can't see this doing much. I can't see myself seeing it. I don't know what to say about this.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Hayden? Do you have any thoughts on this one?
The dog is adorable.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I have. It does look pretty. It looks really, really cute. That's pretty much all I have to say.
That's true.
Yeah. I'll give it a 1.5. What about you guys?
Yeah, 1.5 sounds fair.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think we're all in agreement.
Okay, another one that's kind of on the same vein is Abominable. This is from Pearl Studios, and it's co-produced by DreamWorks. It takes audiences on an epic 3,000-mile journey from the streets of Shanghai to the breathtaking Himalayan snowscapes. When a mischievous group of friends encounter a young Yeti, they embark upon an epic quest to reunite the magical creature with his family at the highest point on Earth. And I don't know, is it going to be Smallfoot light? I mean, I thought Smallfoot was very strange. It didn't really work for me.
Okay, but we need to remember one thing. Is Zendaya Michi?
Right.
I think that's a very important thing we need to take into consideration here. Does this have Zendaya as Michi?
Well, so yeah, we don't really know a whole lot about this one, but as far as the plot, I mean, we get that summary, but as far as we don't really know a whole lot about this movie, but I don't know. I'll give it a 1. What do you think, Mike? Any thoughts on this one?
Well, like we don't really have images or trailers of it yet, so it's kind of hard to say. I mean, its production is interesting because the studio that's making it, Pearl Studios, they were Oriental DreamWorks, because what DreamWorks did was they basically set up between them and the China firm that also co-owned it, a Chinese studio. But after the Universal buyout, Universal sold off their stakes, so the only film they properly creatively worked on together was Kung Fu Panda 3, where they did about a third of it. I mean, they did do animation for some other films of DreamWorks, but that was simple farming the work out. Kung Fu Panda 3 was the only one that they, properly worked on, creatively and all. So, but this was the second one for which that was going to be the case. And that's why DreamWorks are still credited as working on it and will release it stateside. But after this, Pearl Studio is just going to be doing their own thing in China. So I just say that because that production history is the only interesting thing so far.
Yeah,
I actually just found a trailer. There is a trailer on YouTube. It's not very official, but I mean, it's an actual trailer, but it's not really. It's from a pretty not so official account, but it is definitely a trailer for the movie that I just saw.
Okay.
that
Very cool.
I just Googled. So,
So
it's just not getting any buzz.
yeah. So what would you guys give this one?
I can't really rank the score. I'll have to give it a wait and see, because like with Angry Birds, I can say my opinion of the previous film colors my opinions. With this,
Right.
I can't really say much of anything. Like, will it even feel like a DreamWorks film? It might not. It's hard to say. So I can't rank it score wise. I'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I'm also in that. I'm going to give it an NA. Not available.
Okay, good.
I think TBA is more appropriate.
Yeah.
TBA.
Yeah. So yeah, I ended up having the wrong release date in our spreadsheet for this next one, Farmageddon, a Shaun the Sheep movie. For some reason, Wikipedia is all messed up on their release dates. But yeah, it's the
yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna say this. Apparently Angry Birds was at one point scheduled to be released on September 6th, but they changed it quite a few times. I'm just
okay.
That'd be it. Yes, thank you.
So this is actually coming out May 15th. And I don't know why the one thing I said October. Anyway, it doesn't matter. May the 15th. The Shaun the Sheep sequel. Yeah, this one must really make your brain hurt. The fact that it doesn't even have Shaun the Sheep in that Shaun the Sheep is in the subtitle, not in the regular title. Farmageddon, Shaun the Sheep movie.
In fairness, it was just the inconsistency that annoyed me.
Yeah. So
about
Dragon. Okay.
It was just the inconsistency.
Right. When an impish, adorable alien with amazing powers crash lands near the farm, Shaun soon sees an opportunity for alien-powered fun and adventure, setting off on a mission to send the intergalactic visitor home before a sinister organization can capture her. Can Shaun Bitzer and the flock avert Farmageddon on Mossy Brown Farm before it's too late? So, what do you think about this, Mike?
Well, I might wrestle control away from you a bit just for this one, because it doesn't have an American release date. The only release date is the UK, Ireland, and some European territories.
That's why there's confusion.
Yeah, that'd be it. And that May release date was a thing, but I'm pretty sure it is October 18th here, because that's what the trailer says. There is a trailer out now. I don't know if it's stateside. You might have seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Okay, good. So that's almost definitely when it's being released. Like, actually, at Christmas, I got a very good stocking filler book on Aardman Studios. It was a great read, but it was a very recent release, so there was a bit on their upcoming films. So that's why I'm pretty sure where Shaun the Sheep 2 lies, because if it had been coming out in May, they'd been able to say more about it.
Okay.
Anyway, so, I mean, it certainly seems like one of those do a fair bit different from the original things, what with this really, really weird and quirky alien invasion stuff. Like, a lot of people in America haven't seen much of the TV series, so all they know of is the movie, which they generally like if they've seen it. But obviously the TV series has been going on for a long while, and they're just 7-minute little bitty adventures. It's totally adorable. I love, whenever I do sit down to watch it, I love it. And the film was able to capture that spirit while being its own thing. It was great. So I will definitely see this. I love Aardman too much to not. It's a little early to say, but I'll put myself in the 4 category just due to how much I love Aardman.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Good. So, Hayden, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat overall. I'm hoping for great things from Aardman. I like the first one, so I'm going to give it a 3.5, just out of not knowing like that much besides the teaser trailer.
My only worry about this movie is that the whole sort of thing I love the most about the original movie is just how innocent it was and sweet it was. And I worry that in this all sci-fi kind of thing that you'll lose some of that. But I trust the team, and I trust that it'll be great, and I trust that it'll make no money because that's the way these movies seem to be for Aardman.
I'll amend. No money in the States.
Yeah,
I mean, Early Man needed that. It was 50 million. The original Shaun of the Sheep was only 25, so that still made a very nice profit even without its US of 20 million. And I'm sure the same will be the case for this one. So I know it's a hard thing for you guys to sometimes grasp that a movie isn't made for an American release in mind, and but this honestly isn't. It'll get released there. It'll make a little, but it really is about Europe and the rest of the world with Aardman these days.
Very true. I just wish that their movies would connect more with U.S. audiences, because I think if people actually saw them, I think they would really like them.
Oh, I completely agree. It's I think at this point I've just not given up trying, but it's that, well, since I don't live in America, it doesn't concern me as much as it maybe should. I will say with the whole alien invasion, I could see this film's humor being a lot more quirkily British, more like Wallace and Gromit or Chicken Run, whereas Shaun of the Sheep, I mean, there is always that Britishness, but because there's no dialogue, it's more universal in a way. Most of the other works are very British, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Something about the humor and tone this one could take with all the alien stuff could be very weirdly British again, but I like that too much to complain, so there you have it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. So what score would you give it as far as anticipation?
Oh, I already said a 4.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear that. Okay, good. All right. Well, so next we have Addams Family. This is from MGM. It's Addams family's lives begin to unravel when they face off against a greedy, crafty reality TV host while also preparing for their extended family to arrive for a major celebration. And I think that this has potential. I like Addams Family. I like both of the live action movies, and I like I liked the show. I feel like this could be fun. I don't think we have a trailer yet, if I'm not mistaken. I'm hopeful about it. What about you, Mike?
Well, we don't have much to go by on again. I haven't seen much Addams Family stuff other than the 2 live action films from the 90s, like on television reruns. I guess they're enjoyable for what they are. They're a bit shakily done, certainly, but enjoyable in their own way. And I can see why the Addams Family has kind of persisted throughout the decades. Just this very odd, family living in a very almost gothic household, and each of the members are very weird and oddball in their own way. It's that very sort of kid scary Halloween vibe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can see why they've been popular throughout the years as they have been. So I guess this could have potential, an animated Addams Family, if the designs are done right and the humor and tone certainly. So a bit of a wait and see situation.
Okay. What about you, Hayden?
Yeah. I love the Addams Family, and I always have and always will. I was obsessed with the TV show and the movies when I was a kid, and I aspired to be Wednesday Addams for a long time, and that influenced a lot of who I am today. Mm-hmm. Which would be pretty obvious if you know me. Yeah. But so I am very excited for this. Just because I'm such a major fan of the Addams Family in general. And when you make Oscar Isaac Gomez, it's the perfect choice, and that's just amazing. And also like Charlize Theron, Chloe Grace Moretz, Finn Wolfhard, Nick Kroll, Bette Midler, Allison Janney. Like, come on, that's a great cast. And yeah, I like the character design. It's very reminiscent of the original Charles Addams cartoon. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah. I'm actually going to give it a 4 as well. The voice cast is really great, and I just feel like it has a ton of potential to be really fun. So let's just hope that they live up to that potential. So we will see. All right. Then we have Arctic Justice Thunder Squad from Entertainment Studios. Animals band together to save the day when the evil Otto von Walrus hatches a sinister scheme to accelerate global warming and melt the Arctic Circle. And this looks like another Norm of the North. It looks really bad. So we'll see. But I give it 0. 0. I'm not forward to it at all. You guys have any thoughts about this one?
I literally did not know it existed until now.
Yeah.
So,
right.
so just going by what I'm looking at right now, no.
Yeah, no.
No. I do not. No.
Mike, do you have any thoughts on it?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I think I could sum this up in 3 words. Next movie.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you. Next.
Okay. And then we have Frozen 2. We don't really have...
It's a little independent movie.
Yeah, right. So this...
It's from an up-and-coming studio. I don't think anybody knows much about it.
So this is obviously our sequel to Frozen, the huge mammoth hit. And Elsa and Anna, they embark on an adventure far away from Arendelle. That's all we really know. We don't have the trailer yet. We don't have the story. But I'm actually really excited. I love Frozen. I thought it was great. And I think that because it became so big, I think it became really nitpicked and people were very hard on it. But I don't think its flaws are much worse than most other princess movies, to be honest. And I love all of the songs. I love all of the singing. They got such a great cast. Idina Menzel is one of my favorite singers in the whole world. Let It Go was so iconic of a moment. And for me, all the subversions that they did actually really worked for me. I think that, they've done the villain reveal so many times now, but at the time it really worked for me. And I hope that they will just do more standard fairy tale in this one, as opposed to, a villain reveal and sort of things. But I love the Lopez's. I think they're amazing songwriting team, and they're back. So, and I hope that they give Kristoff a song this time. I really liked the Broadway musical. I'm just a fan. I think Frozen is great, and so I'm really looking forward to it. I liked both of the shorts. I even liked Olaf's Frozen Adventure because I thought it was a sweet Christmas movie, and I just really like Frozen. So we'll see how it goes. But
as you should, if you like it, that's enough.
Yeah, that's right. And so I'm gonna give it. It was my second most anticipated of the year on my video I did. So I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm very excited, and I hope that it's good. So there you go. Hayden, what do you think? Frozen 2.
Yeah, I also really like Frozen. It has its issues, but overall, it's a good movie, and the haters can suck it. I also like Olaf Frozen Adventure and Frozen Fever, in all honesty. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing where they go from here. I think that they also have an opportunity to expand on it, maybe improve some of the issues that the first one had.
Plus, I feel like with 2 princesses, there's a real opportunity to tell more story than maybe some other princess stories where there's just one.
Right.
So, as far as Disney is concerned, Elsa is a queen, not a princess.
Right, but you know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and also the second they announced Sterling K. Brown and Evan Rachel Wood, I was just like sold.
Yeah.
I because I love Westworld and I actually haven't seen This Is Us, but Sterling K. Brown was great on People versus O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. He was great on that. So love the cast. Also hoping Jonathan Groff gets a song.
Yeah, me too.
And but yeah, I'm not like 1000% in it yet because we know so little and we don't have a trailer yet and whatnot. But I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah, good. Mike, what do you think?
Well, the original Frozen's a bit of an interesting one for me. Like, I think I've only watched it in full maybe 2 or 3 times because I saw it the weekend it came out before it got its massive legs and became the huge monster hit it was. So you can understand that after it became that big thing, I was kind of content to just let my original opinion of it just remain what it is until it had died down a bit. So I didn't rewatch it until sometime later, and it's never really changed since. I think it's a good film. A grand film. I think it has a decent bit of clunky problems. Nothing like terribly severe, but you know the way with Wreck-It Ralph, you feel that the movie it sets itself up to be, and then a bit into it turns into something else. Yeah, I kind of find that with this one a bit. Like up until the Let It Go song, it's a very kind of musical heavy film. But yeah, musical heavy film. Like 5 of the songs are to that point, maybe a third into it, and then after that, it turns into a more kind of Pixar-ish film where it's almost all just Anna and Kristoff and Olaf on a trekking adventure, and it never really turns back into that musical mode. So it's both a tonal shift and a story shift, and such things don't necessarily have to be big problem. But for me, I just can't really shake off the fact that it's very obvious the screenplay. They had a very accelerated production, so they kind of had to paste it together. They had a mad rush. It's, as I say, not a big problem, but it is there. So I'm hoping that the 6 years have allowed them to iron out this one a bit more, certainly. Now, you remember earlier I mentioned the whole Toy Story work thing? Well, similar thing. Because of Frozen, I actually know bits and pieces of this film that you guys don't. Unfortunately, I can't say any of them. I'm sorry. Right. But like, I've seen concept art, I've seen characters, so some of what they're doing is certainly interesting, as much as some of it is clearly motivated by a marketing desire, and also due to work. Like I know people who have children who have Frozen and have seen it a lot and can still unabashedly enjoy it. So I was mostly isolated from the whole parents sick of Frozen because their kids watch it endlessly. Now I'm more openly aware of that, so I'm sure a lot of parents are just like, oh no, they're going to watch it 1,000 times and I'm going to be sick of it again. So I mean, there's certainly a bit of that floating around. Most of us in our online communities aren't parents, so we're not really aware of that, but that's an important angle to consider. So yeah. I'll definitely see it. I've gone into this before. I was a little, I'm not going to say disappointed, but a lot aspects of Ralph Breaks the Internet fell a bit short for me, so I've kind of soured just a little on Disney sequels. I'll certainly be happy after this when they just do originals again for a while, but I'll definitely see.
I know about one of them.
Oh, the original?
I know about one of those originals, and I can't say anything.
Now you're playing that card?
Yeah, y'all are all about the keys.
Whatever goes around comes around.
Yes, mine was just minor details, though. You actually know something about a film that hasn't been revealed at all yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll see this. I'll give it a 3.5 for now. Yeah. I mean, I still only know bits of information more than you. Like nothing that I don't know anything that you won't figure out in the first trailer. Put it that way.
Yeah. Very, very cool. I think that's more than fair. So All right, one last one. We have this movie called Klaus. This is coming to Netflix. This is a quirky holiday comedy, tells the non-canon origin story of how a desperate postal worker inadvertently invents Santa Claus. I love how they clarify that it's non-canon.
The Santa Claus canon is so
Yeah.
it's so specific.
But the thing I guess that's the most exciting to me about this movie is that it's going to be 2D, and it looks, I think some of the character designs and some of the feel of it look pretty cool. And it's Sergio Pablos is the animator director, and so he has kind of a cool visual style, and I love Christmas movies, so that makes me a little more excited. And I don't know, what do you think, Hayden?
Yeah, it looks certainly intriguing.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that it's 2D. Cast looks very good and promising. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 4.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. Have you seen any of the imagery or anything from this, Mike?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer and the concept art. Certainly the director Sergio Pablos. Apologies if I'm butchering that name. He's labored in animation for a while. He worked at Walt Disney Studios Paris. They worked on a lot of 90s Disney films, Hunchback, Hercules, Tarzan, all that. And then, if you don't know this, he did a lot of the original script and designs for this. A lot of the original script and designs for Despicable Me. A lot of that got changed to stuff less quirky in the original film. If you can look up some of the original art he did, it's very nice. And then, Smallfoot, he wrote the book that's based upon. So even to this point, he's left his legacy in animation, and now he's getting to properly direct his own film and bring a great 2D as done with computer style to it, which just looks gorgeous in its own way. So consider me sold. If a film actually manages to do something really unique visually with its style, that's enough to win me over, because let's be frank, most American animation these days, most wide releases, their visual style is very conservative. They often look impressive and immersive, but they're usually just following the norm, aren't they?
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm sold on this. Give it a 4.
Very good. Great. Well, we did it. We got through. So there you go. That is the animation for this year. There's a lot to look forward to. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. And maybe at the halfway point, we can kind of do a checkup and see how our experiences matched up with our anticipation. That might be fun. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys doing this. I think it was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to the upcoming year. So, Mike, how can people find you?
Oh, well, as you'd mentioned earlier, my YouTube channel is Cartoon Karma, so that's my bread and butter on the internet. You can certainly find me there. I'm on Facebook under the same name, and I'm on Twitter under Toon Karma. So
great.
I post on all three frequently enough. You know where to find me, folks.
Okay, great. Yeah, make sure you check out his channel. It's really good. And
thanks very much.
Yes. And Hayden, where can people find you?
Well, my personal Twitter account, you can find me at Pinafore4Geek, and I also have a more professional acting profile, which is at Hayden Wilder, at the Hayden Wilder.
Great. And I will have links for all that in the description section, so check that out. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, and on YouTube and iTunes. And so check that out. If you can give your ratings and reviews on iTunes, really appreciate it. Helps the podcast get to more people. And so thanks so much. And we'll talk again soon. And let us know what you are excited about. Put in the comment section or on Twitter. We'd love to talk about it. And thanks again. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye.
See you, folks.
Bye.